How many albums? I think this is my fifth, yo.
Fifth album?
Fifth album, dog.
What's this called?
Man, this album?
Yep.
It's called Braille. I think Braille, when I think about it in my mind, is similar to music. You can't see it, but you can feel it. And when I think about music, I think music creates moments. Like most people can even etch situations in their life based off music or based off albums that's dropped, or a certain song can play and it provokes a certain emotion in you. I've always wanted to make music that I feel like people would connect to and feel.
Y'all know we serve an awesome God. If you know that our God is awesome, I want you to sing this with me.
With the new album, I think you're going to kind of get a blend of City Lights and Growing Pains. So some of the hard music that people enjoyed. I think Growing Pains was a little more one-sided because I was in a certain emotional place when I wrote that album. So it was actually difficult for me to do anything hype on that record. I think on this record, you'll get more of those records present. So you'll kind of get a mix. You'll get some hard stuff. And I'm not talking about, this album isn't a street album, you know what I mean? So it's not like, hey, let me talk to everybody who doesn't know Jesus, you know what I mean? But sonically, you'll get that hard music, but you'll also get that emotional music as well that you kind of got from Growing Pains. I think most people don't know as time goes on, an artist begins to find themselves more and more. So you may hear a first album from an artist and they may not even really know who they are fully artistically yet. They don't even know what worlds they can explore musically. So, but they first album is just something honest and raw. And then as they grow as an artist and as time progresses, they begin to appreciate other sounds. They begin to enjoy other types of music. They begin to mature and realize, dang, I don't have to just do one thing. So you'll kind of experience that. Like, I think I'm going through a process of starting to tighten in on who I am and what type of music I like to do. I've never been a person that likes an album to feel the same that goes through. I think that's a musical preference. So some people come to an album and they like, man, I want it to feel like an album all the way through. I've always enjoyed going to music and it being kind of not sporadic, but at least different, you know what I'm saying? So, because I think it's reflective of my personality. So, I could be this, I could be that, I could, you know what I mean? So you kind of get that in my music to some degree. So I do kind of look for, I want to say I don't look for a sound, which is really weird. I look for a feeling. So like, I will never make music that I don't feel. I don't care what market it could take me to. I don't care what people will like it if I could do it. Like, if I don't feel it, like, I won't do it. It won't matter. But I also, on the flip side, if I do feel it, I don't care what anybody else thinks when I do it. Like, so I just kind of want to let, you know, what I'm feeling kind of guide my sound. You know what I'm saying? So a sound doesn't dictate my sound. What I'm feeling musically dictates my sound. And they may vary from song to song. So sometimes I hear stuff and I'm like, wow, this is really tight, but it's so, I've never done anything like this before. It's completely out of what people would call my lane, but I really like it. And if I'm feeling it and something come, I'm like, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Well, there's a host of different experiences when people hear an album. Some people, they listening to your album back and forth to work while they driving around all the time. Some people got your album playing while they cleaning up the house. Some people having a party at the crib and your music is playing. Some people are just waiting for you to come to their city and do those songs live. You know what I'm saying? And when you do live stuff, they want you, they ready to go crazy. So traveling as much as I have has caused me to think about that, to think about like, man, like how can I engage my audience with my music when I'm performing live? Traveling has also caused me to think about more than one people group. So I remember when I first started making music, I'm like, man, my first album gonna be hood, like, I'm telling you, dog, like, preach the gospel dudes in the gutter, like, you know what I mean? Like, then you start traveling the world and you're like, wow, like, them ain't the only dudes need the gospel, you know what I'm saying? So now I'm mindful of more people than just the environment that I came from, you know what I'm saying? I done had a host of different types of people and different, like, old ladies, like 60, 70 years old, like, man, I heard Growing Pains. Like, this one lady came up to me, she had to be like 65 at least. Matter of fact, me and Jafia was doing a show together in Philly, and I performed Secrets 1. And the lady came up to me, to my booth afterwards, and she was like, man, that song Secrets touched me. She was like, I was abused over 50 years ago, and you're the first person I ever told it happened to me. Like, I was the first person she ever told, you know what I mean? I think those type of things make you think about those audiences and how many people you're gonna be in front of. I have a Secrets Part 2 on this album. So Secrets 1 was a song about sexual abuse. It was on Growing Pains. If you don't got it, go pick it up. But Secrets 2, Secrets 1 was written about my wife. A lot of people may not know that, but it was written about my wife's sexual abuse experience. So Secrets 2 is written from the perspective of the husband or the spouse of the victim. So often you hear people talk about the victim, but it's actually more than one victim. You know what I mean? So when you marry somebody that's been abused, like, it's a whole scenario happens that you have to wrestle through. So I just wanted to, I've never heard anybody write from the perspective of the spouse. And I was like, man, like, I know what it felt like. I remember feeling like I straight want to murder this dude. Like, plotting in my mind, like literally I had the whole plan, like, how I'm gonna kill him. Like, I could do it, easy. It's just everything that was going on that we were being affected by as a result of our experience was affecting me. You know what I mean? It was affecting our intimacy. It was affecting our relationship. It was, you know, and me just being her husband and having to stand by her. It was even more difficult because it was like, I'm feeling all these emotions. I'm feeling pushed away. I'm feeling all these emotions, but I can't really express it, you know what I'm saying? Because, dag, I need to be behind her. And, you know, you talk to, some people don't understand, like, man, just stand behind your wife, you know? And I remember talking to my boy Future, and he was just like, man, those feelings are real. Like, those are real feelings. You don't need to avoid them or bury them or hide them, you know what I mean? Like, that don't make you more Christian because you do that. He was like, those are real feelings, and you need to deal with them, and you need to express them. So I think it's just one of those songs. If you're married to anybody that's been abused, if you've been in a relationship with anybody that's been sexually abused, closely connected with anybody that's been sexually abused, like, I just wanted to speak from that person's perspective. So. Yeah, shout out to Spec. He didn't produce every record on the album. I think Spec produced 3 joints, but he did all of the post-production for the record. So, so with a song like Secrets 2, I knew what I wanted to do. I went to St. Louis. Me and J.R. sat down. We made the beat from scratch. He came up with the melody. I wrote the hook, and boom, it was, you know. So some situations happen like that. Other situations was me hitting dudes up and saying that I'm looking for a certain emotion, a certain feel, you know what I mean? Other records were records I heard and I was like, that's it. So with the Can't Let Go joint, with Eso on it, as soon as I heard the record, I was like, man, this record, it just did something for me emotionally, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I need this record. So what I did was I would write stuff, record stuff, send it to Spec, and Spec would just say, like, what can we do to this record, you know, to make it better, you know what I mean? So he did all the posts, whether that was, these drums, let's swap it out for these drums, or this sound sounds cheap, let's add a bigger sound to it. Jay, I think you should rewrap these vocals. You give me a little more of this in the vocals, or you know what I mean, that type of thing. And then Spec came to Iowa for a week, and we grinded, like, we spent the night in the studio, like, and we would just, that's actually how the first track on the album came about. Like, actually, we walked in the studio, and I got a piano in there, and he just started playing a riff, and I would start rapping the lyrics to the first joint on the album, the title track, Braille. I started rapping the lyrics, and we looked at each other like, we think we got something. And then he just immediately started making the beat, boom, put everything together. We went, recorded it. We was like, wow, this is crazy. Look. Braille, can't see it, but you can feel it. Vocals paint you the image of what life is for the Christian. My growing pains, they've been evident. I don't speak from the past, they still here in the present tense. So what's your life like? Is it Christ-like? Do you suffer with me? And that's the right type. Get the message, got believers on my mailing list the same, but read different like we Fahrenheit and Celsius. Was blind, but now I HD see it, that's a clear view. Staring at my past is why I'm in my rear view. Dents in my armor, dings in my helmet, scars in my shoes. That don't mean I'm a failure, just means I'm at war. Though we fall and we fail, we touch and we feel. Yeah, welcome to Braille. Want to give my worldview through my experience. So shout out to Spec, man. But yeah, that kind of was the process, like taking situations, you know, and being able to, you know, create something around them, having him come in behind me and then say, all right, let's do this, let's chop this, let's do that, let's add this, and just able to make those records bigger. Sometimes I'll hear a person's voice. So for the Can't Let Go joint, I just immediately made me think about Eso. I was like, Eso will murder this mug. And it's crazy because me and him Skyped, and he was like, I'm in such an emotional place right now. It's like the perfect song, you know what I'm saying? And he murdered it. So sometimes I'll literally hear the person on the record. Sometimes it's a matter of, like, I may want that person's flavor to the record. So sometimes, like, I'm of the thought, like, I don't have to create everything. So sometimes I'll say, man, I love what Flame does. So Flame, I got this beat. I just want to give it to you. You come up with a concept, a hook, like it's your own song. And I'm going to come behind it and I'm going to write something. So sometimes it's like I want to get that kind of flavor on my project. And then sometimes, like, every one of my projects, almost probably every album, I probably had somebody that people really didn't know on it. So like I've always wanted to work with dudes or with somebody that people may not be completely familiar with. Because I know how I feel to have those opportunities to work with dudes who may seem further along in their career. So sometimes, like with Serge, like I just was like, I respect this dude, he's talented, I want to give him a chance to showcase his talent, you know what I'm saying? And then sometimes it's like, man, I just need a verse. Like, I don't even feel, I'm tapped out. I can't write nothing else. Like, so every artist has been in that space where it's like, I need somebody to fill in. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, you have a plethora of different things. what I feel like I learned from Growing Pains was that, like, you know, I love just kind of having conversation. You know what I'm saying? So you'll hear a few records where I'm intentionally not rapping. It just feels like a conversation, like I'm just talking. You know what I'm saying? Opposed to trying to rap to somebody. So that's one thing you'll see me working on, and I'm trying to improve in that area. Lyrically, I think lyrically you'll see me try different things, just try to do different things in a project. And I think delivery-wise, you'll see me trying to do different things in a project as well. And also content, like just trying not to, I mean, in some ways we do some of the same concepts over, but then try to do them differently, you know what I mean? But I feel like every one of my albums, like I've brought something new to the table, you know what I'm saying? Content-wise, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, when I think about this album, I think about Secrets 2. That's the first song comes to mind. I'm like, never heard anybody do that before. You know what I'm saying? Growing Pains, I immediately think about Secrets 1. You know, people have maybe talked about sexual abuse, but I've never heard a song as graphic and detailed as that song was. Think about City Lights, apparently immediately comes to mind. Like, never heard about anybody talk about parenting from that perspective. You know, so as I track back through my music, I've always kind of I feel like I bring those things to the table. And I got another song on the album called Benjamin Button. And the album is just a spin on the perspective of, like, man, if you grown, act like you grown. You know what I'm saying? Like, put the childish things behind you. You know what I mean? Without saying it that way. So just trying to bring things fresh and new to the table, conceptually, you know, that still speak life. So.